What is with all these un-American cruisers? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, this video is all about the un-American motorcycle cruisers out there and this new breed that is emerging onto the market. So we already know the likes of Triumph, of course, and BMW, especially with their R18. They're making waves in the motorcycle world, not necessarily challenging Harley-Davidson, especially Harley-Davidson or Indian, perhaps Indian, but not really making a massive dent. However, we're talking about the American market. On a global market, then you kind of think, well, actually, the times might be changing. The threat really doesn't come from those two motorcycle manufacturers, Triumph, let's say, but more so with BMW. It's actually coming from, well, some Chinese inputs that seem to be coming in and European design houses, which basically got a Chinese backing. What am I talking about? So motorcycle cruisers seem to be very fashionable, the flavour of the month. It used to be, let's say, adventure bikes, and they are still the big sellers. But cruisers have found a way into the biker's psyche now all over the world, and manufacturers have jumped onto that, especially these Chinese brands. Earlier this year, CF Moto from China released their 450 CL-C. You can get that on an A2 license as well. And that's kind of competing with the mid-range Kawasaki Honda bikes, but also especially with Triumph with their heritage bikes or retro bikes. Moto Morini recently released prices on their Calibro bikes, and these are 693cc parallel twin engine cruisers, let's say, and they look very much like the Honda Rebels, the Honda CMX 500, or actually the CMX 1100 as well. One is a bagger and one is a bobber, really. Now these are low powered bikes. The CF Moto 450 is in the region of about 43 brake horsepower, and the Moto Morini Calibro is in the region of about 68 brake horsepower. So they're not exactly setting the world alight. However, for the size of motorcycle and the style of motorcycle, they will attract a lot of riders, especially at the prices. They're coming in between £5,000 and £8,000 pounds here in the UK, which is a very decent price. If you're talking as a first bike or a nearly new bike, or even a second bike or a general commuter bike, something that you're just going to get on, ride and enjoy, then yeah, I can definitely see the appeal of these bikes. But they're not Harleys, are they? They're not Indians. They are their own niche. You can tell from a mile away that they are something completely different. A few videos ago I said, watch out for the Chinese brands because they're going to be coming on strong with challenges to motorcycles that are very similar to Harley-Davidson or very similar to, let's say, the Honda Goldwing. Whereas now we're actually seeing design houses from Europe bringing in motorcycles, or Chinese brands direct bringing in motorcycles that are a lower cc, but they're coming into the cruiser market. But wait, there is another brand that is just on the horizon, and it might just have the appeal to turn your head. So there's a new brand out of China called Wedge, and the name has been around for quite a while, and they've been talking about bringing on new motorcycles for quite a while. Well, they've launched these in China, and these are prominent for the Asian market, the Chinese market. There is no talk as yet of these coming to European or American markets, but they look very, very similar to not necessarily new Harley-Davidsons or Indians, but maybe a throwback to the past. You could definitely see the accents there. But they're not just cruisers and tourers. They've got one cruiser, they've got one tourer, they've got a trike. They've also got a motorcycle that looks like a Can-Am Spider, and they got a motorcycle with a sidecar as well, all pretty much based off the same engine, the same platform. And they are calling it the Chinese Harley-Davidson. That's it. It's the Wedge Chinese Harley-Davidson, or some people are calling it that. Now, all these bikes are running off V-twin engines, start off the SNS engine, and they're coming in about 75 kilowatts. What's that in normal speak? Okay, so my calculations come in at around about 100 horsepower. So not exactly setting the world alight either, but whether it's a little bit more or a little bit less, you can see where they're at with these bikes. Okay, so let's dig into the 5 models. You got the Wedge Ranger RX 2000, which is priced around the €10,000 mark or equivalent to. It's got this 2-litre V-twin engine, an 18-litre fuel tank, and they claim it'll do 195 kilometers an hour or 121 miles an hour. I mean, yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that, shall we? The Chinese brands do have a habit of overvaluing themselves and overestimating themselves. However, it could be so. And to finish off this cruiser, it also comes with Metzeler tyres. Now, the touring version of this bike is the X-Wedge Rover RL 2000, and it's got a front fairing, it's got side saddlebags, and it's got a JBL audio system, and it comes in around about 400 kilos, this motorcycle. And they're also saying this is equivalent to about €16,000. Now, the sidecar option is quite interesting. The X-Wedge Voyager VS 2000 is coming in at a princely sum of €21,500. So these motorcycles are not really cheap imports. They are kind of on a par with other motorcycles. Not as expensive as Harley-Davidson and Indians, let's say, but they're not too far off some of the more expensive brands from Europe. So the Voyager is a sidecar motorcycle, and it's the third wheel is driven by a differential off the rear wheel, and it's got disc brakes with ABS, so it says. And it also has a reverse gear, which is very handy, but also comes in at 500 kilos, which you would kind of expect because it's a sidecar, right? But now to the trikes. So the conventional trike is called the Vanguard VT 2000, and that comes in at €27,900. So yes, you could say it's still substantially less than a Harley-Davidson trike, for example, but it's still quite expensive, right? Still powered by the same engine. Everything's still the same on the front end of the motorcycle. Just the rear end has basically got two wheels driven by a differential off that rear axle. And the second tricycle in the X-Wedge range is a Can-Am Spider type with two wheels at the front and one hefty wheel at the rear. Now, the X-Wedge Walker WR1000, different engine on this motorcycle or tricycle, only comes in at €12,300, so substantially less. Okay, the engine is smaller as well. They're calling this a sporty tricycle, and it's driven by a 975cc V-twin engine, which delivers around about 81 horsepower. But it's also got a nice little reverse gear. And it's got a larger fuel tank on this one with 23 litres. Now, these motorcycles have been styled on the American classics, the American cruisers, American tourers, the trikes. This is where this brand X-Wedge is laying its hat. It is definitely saying, we are the Chinese version of Harley-Davidson. These are the bikes that we're producing. If you like Harleys, you're going to like these. But they are for the Chinese market. They're not really for anything else. They might go into neighbouring markets, but not for European or American markets. However, you might find them in places like Australia in years to come, or any other countries in that region. So it wouldn't be far off the mark if all of a sudden they get really popular, not only in China, but in neighbouring countries. There's a bit of a groundswell that they start offering these bikes in other markets in the future. Who knows? Who knows? But I thought it was very interesting to see other manufacturers kind of entering the cruiser market. It seems to be the flavour of the month. I've already talked about previous motorcycles coming out from China and possibly from India as well, where they're kind of jumping on this bandwagon. But definitely Chinese brands that are heavily styling their motorcycles on Harley-Davidson and Indian, well, the American motorcycle style, as it were. They're definitely producing those, and they're coming on strong. Now, how good are these bikes going to be? How reliable are they? How powerful are they? Will they sound terrible? Who knows? But one thing is for sure, they're not going away. They're going to keep on coming in droves and droves. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I will catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now.